And I'm Peter Dubois. We are feeling some relief out there this evening. Not much, though, after a really sweltering day. And it sounds like that's just the beginning.
Oh, it certainly is just the beginning. We have a couple more days of high heat ahead. So let's go ahead and get right to a first check of our forecast.
Thank you, guys. First Weather is brought to you by Physical Therapy and Balance Centers, providing relief to people who are experiencing issues with pain, dizziness, or balance. Physical is spelled different because they are different. All right, let's take a look at those advisories in the area. Bangor has an excessive heat warning right now that is stretching to the southwestern part of the state. And you can see the whole state is under an excessive heat watch as well. So very, very hot temperatures are in the area. Going into tomorrow, it is going to be into the mid 90s. Bangor at 96 degrees. Much of the northern areas will be seeing low to mid 90s as well, with some cooler temperatures down by the coast. But it is going to be very hot tomorrow and going into the next day as well. But overnight tonight, pretty cloudy skies. We can see mid 60s throughout most of the night, and then the sun should start coming out around 5 a.m.
All righty, Chase, thank you. And over the next couple of days, it will be important to find ways to escape the heat, even if just for a few minutes. And for those who might need a little help doing so, there are multiple cooling center options in Bangor. Here are some of them. The Cross Insurance Center on Main Street will open its doors tomorrow and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Visitors are asked to use the Renewal by Anderson entrance. The Mansion Church is also open tomorrow and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Brick Church will be open tomorrow and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. The Hart Community Center all week from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the Together Place on 2nd Street will also be open Thursday and Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can see on your screen there during that graphic, certain city buildings will also be open later in the week, but they'll be closed for Juneteenth tomorrow. The splash pad on Davis Road is a great cooling option as well. For more details, you can head to our website, foxbangor.com.
Well, this past weekend alone, there were 2 reported drownings in the state, and with more people anticipated to be out on the water this week trying to beat the heat, game wardens fear there may be more risk ahead. Our Grace Blanchard spoke to a local warden about keeping yourself and your loved ones safe on the water.
All have life jackets. You can see it on the front of the board, so that's good.
As the summer weather arrives, Mainers have begun flocking to the water.
You know, the goal is for everybody to go out there, have a great time on the water, have fun, but you need to definitely keep safety in mind.
Maine Game Warden Aaron Rideout says it's imperative for people to have a plan to manage the extreme heat.
In these days where there's high temperatures, you want to make sure that you're staying well hydrated, getting plenty of water and electrolytes so that you don't fall victim to heat-related illnesses.
For those taking out their boats this summer, he says proper safety gear is a must.
You know, a whistle, fire extinguisher, type 4 throwables, throwable rings, things like that.
Rideout says it's also vital to alert someone of your plans if going on the water alone. And anyone on the water, whether traveling by boat or paddle, should always have a life jacket.
It really might come down to life and death, unfortunately.
For more important safety tips, visit our website, foxbangor.com. In Old Town, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Some Mainers received alerts this afternoon about 911 services being down. We've since learned Maine's emergency system was not affected. In the original alert sent around 2:30 p.m., the message said 911 services were out statewide, but no specific state was mentioned. Around 20 minutes later, another alert clarified the problem was in Massachusetts. The Maine Emergency Management Agency says the alert was supposed to only be sent to Massachusetts residents, but it did make its way to Maine. The Maine Department of Public Safety confirmed 911 services are still operational across the state.
Well, Maine senior senator questioned the top general of the Army Reserves on why their report and investigation into their role in the October 25th Lewiston mass shooting still isn't complete. According to Senator Collins, the report was supposed to be completed back in January, and she is waiting on that report and has been for weeks now to be released before introducing what she says is meaningful legislation aiming to help prevent another tragedy.
That was supposed to be finished in January. We're a long ways from January now. I was told by the secretary that she expected the Army Reserve's administrative review to be completed in a couple more weeks. That, too, has passed by. What is the cause of the delay, and when can we expect to get this? I really don't want to introduce a bill without the benefit of the findings and recommendations in this report.
The report from my side has been signed in late May. We are working on redacting it and making that available in the next couple of weeks.
I'm going to hold you to that next
Absolutely.
couple of weeks because I've heard that
Yes, ma'am.
phrase a number of times.
General Daniels says she will personally brief Senator Collins and her staff on that report as soon as it is completed.
Legislative Republicans spoke out today about the potential for statewide energy bill increases, saying they believe costs will increase significantly for Maine businesses. At a press briefing, Republicans pointed the finger at Democrats as the reason why Versant Power and CMP will be increasing bills for some medium and large-sized businesses. Republicans say the increases will be between 200 to more than 1,600%. And they add that the reason for them is so that utilities can recover costs from renewable energy sources, including net energy billing associated with consumer solar energy farms. We were able to independently confirm with Versant that bills would be going up to help cover what are called stranded costs or unexpected costs incurred by the electric suppliers. But they did not offer any details on the amount of the potential increases.
Imagine running a business and your electric bill will increase astronomically. And we've heard from several businesses, and I have some examples here, and you'll hear more later on, but one business had a $200 stranded cost in 2023 that will become $3,400 in 2024.
We reached out to legislative Democrats for comment, but have not yet received a response.
And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, Penquist is planning to unveil a new child care facility in 2026 in the hopes of providing quality care to families in the greater Bangor area.
And we'll tell you about a newly introduced program to enhance interactions between law enforcement and people with special needs. Those stories and more when we come right back.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
Our biggest challenge? Uncertainty. Hidden fees, surcharges, who knows what to expect.
Turn shipping to your advantage
Keep it simple with clear upfront pricing.
with USPS Ground Advantage.
It was one thing when my mom got Alzheimer's, but then we started noticing things that seemed off. She developed agitation that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes she'd fidget with her fingers, get suddenly overwhelmed, and even throw things. And that was just never her. So we asked her doctor what else we could do.
Rexulti is the only FDA-approved medication proven to reduce agitation symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur.
Rexulti helped reduce my mom's symptoms.
Take action for your loved one. Ask their doctor about Rexulti.
Planet Oats so creamy and not watery like.
Exactly, and unsweetened, has 0 grams of sugar. And don't forget, it's an excellent source of calcium.
Wow, Planet Oat really has it all.
You guys are so right. No, you are.
No, you are.
No, you are.
Yeah, you are.
It's a culinary battle of the ages.
Gen Z.
Forward! Which generation is going to win it all? MasterChef Generations, all new Wednesdays on Fox.
Hello, everyone. I'm Craig Colson. The temperatures have been soaring as a heat wave moves across the state, and Wednesday's expected to be even hotter. Coming up on the next Good Morning Maine, advice on how you can help beat the heat, and also a special Juneteenth celebration. Hope to see you on the next edition of Good Morning Maine.
On a hot hot day like today, many people are looking for something fun to do outdoors. Nevertheless, our Doug Banks checked in with employees at a local amusement park to see how they are beating the heat.
Hi, thank you for calling Wild Acadia.
With a climbing wall, trampoline, mini golf, and a plethora of water activities, Wild Acadia Camping Resort is in the business of selling fun.
It all works better if guests as well as staff are having fun and enjoying their time here.
While guests find fun ways to escape the sun, it's the resort's 41 employees who help make that possible. But how do they keep the fun alive when there isn't a cloud in the sky?
For staff, it's definitely about staff safety. Heat stroke and things like that can come on quickly. We always try to make sure that staff gets the breaks that they need, go somewhere that's air conditioned to cool off.
They rotate from slide to slide or from slide to trampoline. Specifically when it's really hot, we do kind of ask the staff to dress appropriately. We'll pass out Gatorades and things of that nature. We always have a cooler in the team lead shack.
Some employees are even equipped with water guns, not only to beat the heat, but to also cultivate a fun and easygoing atmosphere.
Oh my goodness, that's one of my favorite parts of the team, is specifically keeping them happy and healthy.
And when guests from every walk of life experience happiness, that's when Dries knows their hard work has paid off.
I mean, it's ultimate joy at the end of the day. You get to be a part of somebody's memories.
In Trenton, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Penquist is planning to open a new child care facility in 2026. The facility, called Bright Beginnings, will provide quality child care to families in the greater Bangor area. Programs will focus on education and development, as well as school preparation for young kids. Penquist representatives say it'll be helpful for working families.
This just really means greater access to high quality care for children. It also means an opportunity for parents to be able to work, because if you can't find quality care, you can't get to work.
The facility will be located on Broadway in Bangor. Penquist officials say a mix of federal and city funding plus private investments are being used to pay for the building's construction.
Well, drivers who have special needs are sometimes overstimulated or anxious when interacting with police, especially during traffic stops. Well, a new program is aiming to help improve those interactions. The Blue Envelope program was developed by the Down Syndrome Advocacy Project of Maine. Currently, there are 21 law enforcement agencies throughout the state that have partnered to provide blue envelopes for citizens and trainings to their officers for how to have successful encounters with people who have special needs. People who use the envelope will place a copy of their driver's license, their vehicle registration, and a current insurance card in the envelope. Printed on the envelope are instructions for drivers and law enforcement professionals.
The Blue Envelope program levels the playing field in a sort of way, where this way, if someone is driving and gets pulled over, the officer then sees the envelope and they realize that, okay, so they may be a little nervous, they may be fidgety, they may not exactly be paying attention to the officer and what they're doing. They realize that the envelope is there, and that so it's not something that's nefarious, for example. It's just a condition that they have, or they're anxious, or they're nervous.
Well, we will hear more about that program, including reaction from officers, on a future broadcast, so stay tuned.
And still to come on the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22, Russian President Vladimir Putin meets with North Korean leaders in Pyongyang.
And President Biden announcing his immigration action plan. We'll have those stories and more as the 10 p.m. news on Fox 22 continues.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do, day in and day out. Making milk you can trust, with no artificial growth hormones. And we protect Hood milk with our light block bottle. We care about our milk because we know how much you care about what you give your family. So you can feel good about Hood.
When the acres add up, so does the work. The Kubota LO2 series is ready for it. Part of the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience, it features powerful, dependable Kubota diesel engines, performance-matched attachments, and the versatility to get the job done right.
Available at Doors Equipment, 1468 Outer Hammond Street, Bangor.
Adding comfort and beauty to your home for less is as easy as 1, 2, 3 during Renewal by Andersen's Easy 3Z replacement window event. The time to act is now because Renewal by Andersen is making it easy and affordable with huge discounts on our exclusive custom replacement windows and our doors, along with special financing options so affordable you won't want to miss out on this event. And to top it all off, professional installation by our certified master installers is always included. Like we said, Easy 3Z. Call today.
A new deck is a great, affordable way to improve your home or camp. Hammond Lumber Company can help you create the perfect deck for your outdoor space. Visit Hammond's product showroom and explore their extensive range of decking and railing options. Your Hammond sales rep will be happy to help you with your materials and design choices, and Hammond delivers from any of their 22 locations across Maine and New Hampshire. Make this the year you enjoy that new deck you've always wanted. It starts when you bring your vision to Hammond Lumber Company.
If you've been injured, call Joe. The law offices of Joe Bornstein.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is meeting with North Korean leaders in Pyongyang. It comes as both countries vow to resolutely oppose U.S. efforts in Ukraine and the Korean Peninsula. Fox's Alex Hogan has details and the U.S. response.
A warm welcome as Vladimir Putin visits North Korea for the first time in nearly 25 years.
What'd you say?
In the early hours of the morning, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un personally greeted the Russian president at the airport. During Putin's two-day visit, talks are expected to focus on beating U.S.-led sanctions and strengthening military cooperation. The Biden administration admits it is concerned about the closer ties.
North Korea is providing significant munitions to Russia and other weapons for use in Ukraine.
This trip is also expected to highlight Russia's need for weapons and North Korea's need for technology and economic assistance. Putin proposes developing new payment systems he sees as not being controlled by the West. The last time Putin visited North Korea was in 2000, just months into his first term as president. He met with Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il. Today, the two countries touting their warming relations. North Korea's state media broadcast this Russian army performance, showcasing the two countries' flags as well as Russian weaponry. Putin says this is a friendly visit. NATO calls it a challenge the West will need to address.
Putin's visits to North Korea demonstrates and confirms the very close alignment between Russia and the authoritarian states. And this also demonstrates that our security is not regional, it's global.
Kim Jong-un traveled to Russia last fall. The White House says it will follow this ongoing visit closely. After North Korea, Putin will travel to Vietnam for conversations centered on trade. In London, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
The anti-government movement in Israel is growing and getting more aggressive. Fox's Trey Yingst reports from Tel Aviv.
The anti-government movement here in Israel is intensifying. On Monday night, protesters took to the streets of Jerusalem, demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and early elections to pick a new government. The demonstration got close to the Prime Minister's house, sparking clashes with police. But protest leaders say they're not going anywhere.
We hope that at the end of this week or the next week, we'll change the government, we'll force the government to make a deal.
The political instability escalated significantly in recent weeks, following the resignation of two centrist former generals from the wartime unity government. Netanyahu is now forced to rely on far-right and ultra-Orthodox lawmakers to stay in power, making it less likely that Israel will sign onto the U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal.
The prime minister is the elected head of the Israeli government. That's who the president deals with. They're not going to agree on everything going forward.
Meanwhile, further north, American diplomats are scrambling to contain an increasingly violent situation along the Israel-Lebanon border. Fire between Hezbollah and the Israeli military has surged in recent days, prompting President Biden to send a special envoy to Jerusalem and Beirut, hoping to calm tensions on both sides.
Innocent people are dying, property is damaged, families are shattered, and the Lebanese economy continues to decline. The country is suffering for no good reason.
The UN says more than 400 people have been killed in the fighting between Israel and Hezbollah since October. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
President Biden is making it easier for some undocumented spouses and stepchildren of American citizens to obtain permanent residency in the U.S. It's the second executive order he's issued on immigration in recent weeks. A stark contrast from rival Donald Trump's plans for mass deportations. Fox's Rebecca Castor explains.
President Biden is taking executive action to protect more than 500,000 undocumented migrants from deportation.
70% of Americans support this effort to keep families together. And the reason is simple. It embraces the American principle that we should keep families together.
To qualify, a person must be married to a U.S. citizen and have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years, with no criminal record. Undocumented children under 21 whose parent is married to a citizen are also eligible.
The announcements and affirmation of what America is truly about at its core, a land built by immigrants.
Undocumented migrants married to an American already have a path to citizenship, although current law requires they return to their home country before applying. Many Republicans say the executive action will just encourage more illegal immigration.
This is the most pro-amnesty, open borders president in American history, and now he's granting mass amnesty. It's outrageous.
Just 2 weeks ago, Biden took another executive action to limit asylum applications at the border when migrant crossings are surging. A move immigration advocates denounced, but they're applauding this one, as it's a stark contrast from Biden's presidential rival Donald Trump, who's promised to deport mass number of illegal immigrants if reelected.
We have no choice. This is not sustainable.
This executive action comes as migrant crime is dominating headlines, with the recent arrests of an illegal migrant accused of killing a mother in Maryland and another accused of sexually assaulting a teenager in New York. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Boeing's embattled CEO was brought before Congress to answer questions about the safety culture of the company following even more claims from whistleblowers about faulty parts. Fox's Connor Hansen has more from New York.
On Capitol Hill Tuesday, Boeing CEO David Calhoun faced families who lost loved ones in crashes months apart in 2018 and 2019.
I apologize for the grief that we have caused. And I want you to know we are totally committed to your memory, to work and focus on safety.
The senators want to know what the company is doing to fix what critics call a broken safety culture.
This is not an industry where it's okay to cut corners.
The last time the CEO appeared on Capitol Hill was after the door plug blew off an Alaska Airlines flight in January.
Our culture is far from perfect, but we are taking action and we are making progress.
The problems haven't stopped for Boeing. Just last week, Southwest Airlines said one of its Boeing 737 MAX 8s recently plunged mid-flight, at one point only 400 feet from the Pacific Ocean. Senator Richard Blumenthal also brought up a new claim from a whistleblower that he was told to hide evidence from the FAA.
We also have strict policies that prohibit retaliation against employees who come forward.
For those who lost loved ones in Boeing crashes, no apology will be enough.
I'm here very simply to confront her killer.
To me, justice is for them to held accountable and be criminally charged and to face us in trial.
Boeing says it hasn't received a new order for one of its MAX planes in 2 months. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
Never before in U.S. history have women been required to register for the draft. This could change with the Senate's version of the National Defense Authorization Act. Fox's Mike Emanuel has the story.
The Senate version of the National Defense Authorization Act, which sets out military and national security priorities, would require women to register for selective service. Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley says he's not voting for any defense bill that would force his daughter to register for the draft.
They're talking about involuntarily drafting women. I'm totally opposed to that. I'm also worried about the expansion of the draft.
The argument for women being a part of the draft comes from experts such as the National Commission on Military, National, and Public Service. It concluded back in 2020, quote, "This is a necessary and fair step, making it possible to draw on the talent of a unified nation in a time of national emergency." Tennessee Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn says she's in favor of it.
This is not about combat. It is about their opportunity to serve.
Drafting women is not in the House version of the bill, but that's not stopping leaders from voicing opposition to the proposal. Texas Republican Congressman Chip Roy writing on X, quote, "You can go straight to hell over my dead body." The House bill includes a measure to automatically register men aged 18 to 26 years old for selective service. Supporters note in recent years the number of men who have skipped registration has grown.
So this amendment would purely cut the government red tape that exists and allow an important government office to be more efficient and to save money for more American taxpayers.
Since there are two different versions of this critical national defense bill, one House, the other Senate, it is possible women in the draft could get dropped as lawmakers iron out the differences. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
And still to come on Fox 22 News at 10, our Jody Hersey went to Sedgwick to talk with a local teen about her experience within the Maine foster care system.
And in sports, the Boston Celtics are your NBA champions. How the team is reacting to Banner 18. We'll be right back.
Gordon Ramsay and Lisa Vanderpump are searching for the next great food star.
You ready?
Born ready. Food Stars, all new Wednesdays on Fox.
The Make This the Summer sales event is here at Quirk Ram in Bangor. Save up to $12,000 on 23 Ram trucks or discover more power with the new Hurricane engine. Available on the 2025 1500 Bighorn. Lease for $599 per month. It's your Ram. Find it at Quirk in Bangor and Belfast.
Fires, floods, burst pipes. Disasters happen, but the mess they leave behind doesn't have to last. For 40 years, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration has been there to help Mainers get back to the closest to normal as they can. When your property is at its worst, Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration is at their best, and they have been for 4 decades. Put your trust in the Bouchard team. Bouchard Cleaning and Restoration. You keep the memories, we'll handle the rest.
We've been on this property for 47 years. What I've learned along the way is the better tools you have, the easier the job and the better job you get.
He is a former owner of another brand, tractor. He wanted green.
Everything has to be pruned and cut, and there's a lot of stuff that has to get moved. You can't get any more American than John Deere, I don't think.
They don't write songs about any other tractor company. It's John Deere.
Experience United, your local John Deere dealer.
Refine, your local expert in window and door installation, carpentry repairs, and commercial facilities management. At Refine, we're proud to offer Maine-made Paradigm windows crafted with care and precision to ensure quality and durability like no other. From quaint cottages to bustling businesses, let us refine your space with our signature Maine-made touch. Trust Refine to exceed your expectations every time. Contact us today and let Maine craftsmanship elevate your home or business. Rise with Refine.
Hood milking you. It's why we do what we do. Day in and day out. Making milk you can trust, with no artificial growth hormones. So you can feel good about Hood.
This is Rickwood, America's oldest ballpark and home to the Negro Leagues. Now, the Giants take on the Cardinals in a celebration over a century in the making. MLB at Rickwood Field, only on Fox.
Pick your summer adventure in a new Hyundai from Quirk in Bangor. With ample space and advanced safety features, lease the 24 Tucson SEL for $319 per month while enjoying 3 years or 36,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. It's your Hyundai. Find it at Quirk.
While social media platforms have the power to educate, inform, and connect people, America's doctor says they pose serious risks to the mental well-being of kids and teenagers. In the U.S. Surgeon General's efforts to seek warning labels on social media platforms, educators are doubling down on those warnings. Fox News' Sean Langiel takes a closer look at their concerns.
Would you want to be warned about the negative effects of a product before you or a loved one uses it? Well, when it comes to the impacts of social media on the well-being of kids and teens, the Surgeon General is calling for action. Dr. Vivek Murthy telling the New York Times Monday that Congress should require warning labels on social media platforms, stating, quote, social media is associated with significant mental health harms for adolescents.
The students that I'm interacting with, they do see their community as having a lot of anxiety. They do see higher rates of depression.
Educators like Michelle Burke of the Stevens Institute of Technology says the Gen Z students she teaches are interested in studying how growing up with cell phones and social media has shaped them.
Particularly how those technologies impacted their ability to focus and to learn and to study and to feel good about themselves.
According to the latest data from the Pew Research Center, about 9 in 10 teens ages 13 to 17 reported using YouTube, and 63% said they used TikTok last year.
13-year-olds, they don't have the level of executive functioning that adults do, right? And so their impulse control it's not there yet. And so we really need to guide them slowly and mindfully down this path rather than just, handing a device over.
The last time a federal law designed to protect kids online was enacted was back in 1998 when the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act was passed. That was before Facebook was founded. Sean Langiel, Fox News.
If your pet needs a vet, you might soon need to pay out of pocket as a major insurance company starts dropping coverage. The nationwide insurance company will begin to cancel about 100,000 policies for pet care across the country. The nation's biggest pet insurer says it's because of rising costs for veterinary care, and the company has to drop the policy coverage to maintain its own business viability. Cancellations won't be because of pet age, breed of animal, or prior usage of insurance by owners. The average policy for dogs is $676 a year, and for cats, it's about $383 per year.
Well, the next time you get an email or call that you want a free vacation, you might want to take a closer look at that. Travel experts are sharing some of the red flags to watch out for as vacation scams are on the rise. They say fake websites can be designed to look like genuine vacation sites, but they can actually be spoofs that take your information, especially if the website asks for payment in the form of a gift card or wire transfer. It is a smart idea to steer clear of that. They add you should never have to pay for a vacation that you won, and travel websites won't ask you for immediate payment normally either. If you've never heard of the website, check them out first and be careful with your hard-earned money.
Nearly 250 electric vehicles, including some Cybertrucks, are parked outside a boarded-up movie theater in Scottsdale, Arizona. As Fox's Steve Nielsen tells us, one analyst says the EV industry as a whole has slowed in 2024 and says the overflow lot could be a sign of that.
Play with EV Access says they rent out hundreds of electric vehicles to people who love them in Phoenix.
There's no better thing that could be potentially moving forward as far as of grabbing the way that the vehicle market's going to move than electric vehicles.
They have far more Teslas for rent here than anything else, and the demand matches it.
So Tesla, because they found the niche in the market so early, allows them to have just a better approach on the general product in general.
But while his rental business is performing, Hertz is selling off their Tesla fleet. Now, outside of a boarded-up movie theater in Scottsdale, nearly 250 Teslas, including some Cybertrucks, are parked. Most brand new, still wrapped in plastic. Industry analyst Carl Brower with iSeeCars.com says these overflow lots are signs of slow demand.
You see a lot full of brand new Teslas, and it's getting more and more full all the time. It's clear they are unable to find buyers for these cars.
Tesla didn't respond to questions about the lot of EVs. The industry as a whole has slowed in 2024. After layoffs last year, Lucid in Casa Grande told me in January no more layoffs were on the way.
Your employees here, so they feel good about their job security right now?
Yes, they do.
not concerned about any layoffs going forward.
But things changed quickly. Last month, more layoffs. A spokesperson said there were approximately 60 salaried individuals in Arizona impacted by the reduction in force, and no production workers were affected. They stressed a newly completed expansion and work on their new SUV called Gravity. Brower said Tesla lost money for over a decade before turning a profit.
Now we've got Lucid and Rivian. They're much younger companies. Are they going to have a 10, 15-year runway to lose money before they're profitable? We'll see.
In other news tonight, baseball legend Willie Mays passed away today at 93 years old. Here is a look back at his life and legacy.
Willie Mays, the all-around star of the San Francisco Giants.
That was him. We could watch and cheer and marvel, but mostly, we felt Willie Mays. There was a beauty and a purity in how he played that shaped every part of seeing it. That swing.
Way back, number 600 for Willie Mays.
Sudden and powerful to produce 660 home runs, a 302 career average, almost 3,300 hits.
Willie Mays gets his 3,000th base hit.
That glove. 12 gold gloves, actually. Flashing the range and the speed, catching the ball at his hip or over his shoulder.
I love defensing, and defensing to me is the key to playing baseball.
That swagger. From the way he threw out runners, to how he stole bases, to how long he endured, and how supremely he performed.
I play the same all the time, whether we're playing the Dodgers or playing anybody. I try to play my same brand of ball every day.
You can describe his career through the numbers and the accolades. World champion, 2-time MVP, 4-time home run leader, 24-time All-Star. But no cold metric or analytic contains that feeling that made us want to swing and throw and run and play like he did, just for the chance to share in the joy he radiated. Before the world wanted to be like Mike, it just wanted to say hey to the Say Hey kid. Now, we want nothing more than to say it ain't so. Not to have to say goodbye to Willie, to the kid, to the man, and to the feeling.
Baseball was a beautiful game. It was such a beautiful game that I just wanted to play it forever. I just had fun and enjoyed it.
Buying a home is a big family experience.
Oh, where else would you want to live?
Every story's different.
I grew up on another farm, and now I own my own.
I got introduced to a credit union when I was in college. Whether they got one customer that day to 1,000 customers that day, it feels like you are the one. The lender that you're talking to, you'll see him after work at the T-ball game. It is our dream home.
It's heaven, I guess. Did you get mommy?
The local credit union can give you that peace of mind from start to finish, and that's what they did here.
PDQ Door, Maine's choice for LiftMaster, the #1 professionally installed garage door opener, with technology alerting you if you forgot to close your door and allowing you to close it anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi, plus battery backup so you can get in when the power's out. And during PDQ Door's spring sale, enjoy $50 off a service call and $150 off any garage door and opener package. PDQ Door, Hamden, Rockport, Bath, Waterville, Holton, Presque Isle, and pdqdoor.com.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a 5th-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore.
Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
Sunday, it's the Summer of Stars as the U.S. hosts the world's best players for Copa America. USA, Bolivia, Sunday on Fox.
Thank you guys. Our main weather is brought to you by Washington County Community College. Check out the new probations and correction online program. Don't miss out on free college. All right, we got an excessive heat warning in the area right now. Bangor extending down to the southwest portion of the state, and excessive heat watch as well. And then also to add on to this, we do have an air quality alert right by the coastal region. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. But highs today in Bangor, 86 for the high. Probably got a little bit hotter as well. And we do see some low 90s to the north of us. So very, very hot today. This is just the start though. As we go into tomorrow, we'll see we do have a high of 96, it looks like, in the Bangor region. And then it will possibly get warmer than this if we have some really good sunshine. Could get to 97, possibly 98, breaking the record last set in 1938. But now we could see up in the northern parts too, there'll be still some mid 90s, maybe even upper 90s up there as well. So with this being said, there's going to be a lot of heat dangers out there, like heat exhaustion. That's one of them. Symptoms with this would be faint or dizziness, excessive sweating, cool, pale, clammy skin, rapid weak pulse, and muscle cramps could be some of those things you experience. And if you are, very important to make sure that you have air conditioning to sit in, or you could take a cool shower or cool yourself down with some ice packs. Anything like that will help, and drink lots of water as well. But if you're experiencing the symptoms of heat stroke, which would be a throbbing headache, no sweating, red hot dry skin, rapid strong pulse, or even losing consciousness, very important to seek medical attention and even call 911 if you have to. This could be a very dangerous next few days as we have a lot of warm temperatures on the way. So we'd see Wednesday and Thursday, 97 and 95 degrees, very, very hot, and then we'll slightly cool down Friday and Saturday, and then we'll have some much more comfortable temperatures in the mid 70s by Sunday. But with these warm temperatures right now, we're going to have a lot of humidity in the area, making those temperatures feel a lot hotter than they really are. Very humid on Thursday. That's when we're going to see the massive spike there. Drop down by Friday and Saturday, but then we'll bounce back up on Sunday and Monday. So very important to stay hydrated with a lot of humidity in the area. And as well, it's going to be a very bright day tomorrow, the sun shining. UV index will be at a 9, very, very high. Burn time could be less than 10 minutes. Very important to have hats, sunglasses, and sunscreen, and find some shady areas out there to protect yourself from the sun. But air quality alerts right now, we're at a moderate. This is just below good, but something to keep an eye on, and most of this is focused around the coastal region of Maine right now. But tonight's forecast, we'll have a low of 64, partly cloudy skies, and winds will be from the south at around 5 miles per hour. And to tomorrow, possibly breaking the record high, we'll have a high around 97 degrees, and winds will be from the south-southwest. Take a look at your extended forecast. Looks like Wednesday and Thursday will be the hottest days of the week, and then we'll have some rain coming Saturday into Sunday, which could cool things down and bring the temperature on Sunday to around 76 degrees.
Well, Sunday's going to feel like a huge relief after getting through this next stretch of a few days.
Yeah, absolutely. We are looking forward to the weekend.
Definitely.
All right, well, sports is coming up next. Stay with us.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
When we say it'll be on time, they expect it to be on time.
Turn shipping to your advantage.
Keep those expectations with reliable ground shipping.
Thanks, Brandon.
With USPS Ground Advantage.
Protect your vehicle from rusting away with Bell's Automotive Protection. We are the leader in mobile undercoating and rust proofing in Maine. We'll travel right to your driveway using the best and safest products on the market. This is much safer than rubberized coatings that can cause damage later on. We spray all types of vehicles, including commercial fleets. We all know vehicles aren't cheap anymore. Don't let the harsh winter chemicals eat them away. Call us or visit our page for a free quote. 207-659-3805.
Had enough of long lines, empty shelves, and overcrowded megastores? Discover Parity Shop and Save in Brewer, your local culinary oasis in the North Brewer Shopping Center. Revel in fresh produce, pantry must-haves, organic delights, and Aroostook County's beloved products, all affordable and high quality. Can't find an item? We'll special order it. Shop with us today and feel the difference of our family-run, community-focused grocery experience.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
Tonight's Sports is brought to you by Diversified Ink Tattoo Studio in Bangor, located in the Penobscot Plaza, providing custom ink by licensed artists for more than 20 years.
What a night it was at TD Garden. Welcome back in, everyone. Thanks for staying with us. With a dominant victory over the Dallas Mavericks, the Boston Celtics are finally NBA champions yet again.
Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
We did it! Oh my God, we did it!
This group of guys that's been through so much in the league, they know what it takes. There's a group of guys in that locker room that decided they wanted to win on day one.
You know, we've been playing together for 7 years now. We've been through a lot, you know, the losses, the expectations, the media, you know, have said all different types of things. You know, we can't play together. We were never going to win. We heard it all.
What they going to say now? What they going to say now?
To be honest, I can't even put it into words. Just Bill Russell and what he's meant for me through my Boston journey. For this to be the Bill Russell MVP award, and I got nothing, man. I don't even know what to say. I feel it's unreal.
Jason, I'm curious to know what you said to Deuce after this, but I guess I'm more curious, what did Deuce say to you?
He told me that I was the best in the world. I said, you damn right I am.
Yeah, the doubters, they may be quieted now, but they'll be back. You know, they'll probably be back next year. So I'll embrace that moment the same and get after it yet again.
Awesome stuff at the Garden. Let's hope they can do what the 2008 team didn't and win multiple. Let's transition now to a huge event this weekend. The Gran Fondo Hincapie Bike Race returns to Bangor Saturday for the third consecutive year. The ride, one of 7 in a nationwide series, is expected to bring hundreds of cyclists from all 50 states and around the world. Participants can choose between a 15-mile, 52-mile, and an 80-mile course to ride. With all of that scenery that comes with any course they choose, Bangor is a perfect hub for this event.
This is actually my favorite course out of all the 7 that we have. It's just very picturesque. You go through Orland and you're just like, wow, look at these trees and this farmland and everything. And then next thing you know, you're at Wadsworth Cove looking at a rock beach. It's just, for lack of a term, it's just insane, like how varied the terrain is here.
Looks cool. The biggest goal of the ride is to introduce people to cycling and create a love of the sport that could lead to it becoming a career, like the race's namesake, George Hincapie, he had. So you might want to keep your eye on the road Saturday because, well, the next Tour de France competitor could be out there in Bangor.
Really, it's get people excited about riding bikes. George did 17 Tour de France's. He was one of the greatest American cyclists of all time. We don't know where the next George Hincapie is coming from. 60% of the people coming are brand new. Who knows? It could be June 22nd, 2024 is that person's first ride, and that would be awesome.
All right, sounds like a fun event. Let's move on now to the Diamond. Over at Hadlock Field, the Sea Dogs taking on the Flying Squirrels in Game 1 of a 6-game series, and former UMaine alum Nick Sinicola is here to visit. So to Hadlock Field we go. Huge crowd on hand tonight, always fun. The former Black Bear Sinicola on the hill for Richmond tonight. Here getting Roman Anthony swinging. Nick is 5-2 on the season so far. Here he is now later in the game getting some defensive help from first baseman Brady Whalen, who robs Marcelo Meyer of a hit. Nice sliding play up the line. Just beats him to the bag there. tied 1-1. Moving on to the third, the Eastern League Player of the Week, Kristen Campbell, belts a single to deep right. That is a long single. Kyle Teal is going to come all the way around to score after the catcher mishandles the throw. 2-1 at Sea Dogs. They would go on to win 12-1. The final, the Dogs are back in first place. Staying on the diamond, the Maine Senior All-Star Softball Games taking over St. Joseph's College on Tuesday, or USM on Tuesday, with baseball set for Wednesday. Class C and D All-Star Games started off the day in the afternoon, with A and B taking place at night. A great way for the athletes to wrap up their careers with some fun competition. Some of the week's All-Stars will be moving on to play in college, while others are playing for the final time.
Yeah, it is a little bittersweet. I'm kind of sad about it, but it was great having the girls to play with, and a lot of girls I know from travel, and a lot of girls I've played with for a lot of years here, so I'm very excited for today.
It's pretty sad, and it's my last ever game, but I've made a lot of friends from all the other teams, so it's cool to get to play like one game all together, and I've played with some girls from travel teams, so getting one last game with them is really cool.
Staying on the diamond now, in the sports world, Tuesday night mourns the loss of baseball legend and Hall of Famer Willie Mays. The San Francisco Giants announced Mays' passing on Tuesday evening at the age of 93. Mays is all over the record books in the MLB, famously known simply for the catch in center field in the World Series against the Yankees, but he was an inspiration to athletes all over. Coming from the Negro Leagues to having a Hall of Fame career, and he's not just an athlete, but a man that will be missed by many. All right, that is all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
I've been with U.S. Cellular for 27 years. They've always taken care of me. But when they asked me to talk to you about their special customer event, Us Days, I said, I gotta get in shape. So they sent me this Hollywood trainer. Oh, this guy's no joke. Us Days means exclusive deals just for us customers.
Now let's try burpees.
Us Days is back at U.S. Cellular. Current customers get $1,200 off any phone, plus $300 off any tablet.
Maine's #1 Kia dealer, Van Sickle Kia, has the plug-in hybrid that takes you farther. Choose from an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid Kia Sportage, Sorento, and plug-in hybrid Niro. You get all-electric power for shorter trips and gasoline hybrid flexibility for your longer drives. Go from Bangor to Providence in one trip. No stops needed. Whether it's your 20-minute commute to work or yearly road trip, Van Sickle Kia has the plug-in hybrid that gets you there at Van Sickle Kia. And best of all, every new Kia at Van Sickle comes with Kia's 10-year or 100,000-mile warranty. The best in the business.
The best cars, the best prices, and the best warranty. I'm Peter Van Sickle. I guarantee it.
At Hood, our love for New England inspired New England Creamery. We make it with premium Hood milk and cream, then we overload it with the good stuff. Like Green Mountain Mint Chip with a rich, fudgy swirl. Maine Sweet Blueberry with real, delicious blueberries. And Cape Cod Fudge Shop, packed with fudgy truffles. Hood's New England Creamery. From Hood, for New England. Try all 10 flavors.
It was one thing when my mom got Alzheimer's, but then we started noticing things that seemed off. She developed agitation that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes she'd fidget with her fingers, get suddenly overwhelmed, and even throw things. And that was just never her. So we asked her doctor what else we could do.
Rexulti is the only FDA-approved medication proven to reduce agitation symptoms that may happen with dementia due to Alzheimer's disease. Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, increased cholesterol, low white blood cells, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur.
Rexulti helped reduce my mom's symptoms.
Take action for your loved one. Ask their doctor about Rexulti.
What I'm doing, getting right to it. Money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Summer kicks off. Local pools are gearing up to open for the season, but many are actually still looking to fill their lifeguard positions. According to Bangor City officials, they plan to open the Beth Pankow and Dakin pools sometime next week. Bangor's Director of Parks and Recreation says although they have a solid team of lifeguards, they are always looking for more. However, he says finding people who are actually willing to go through the certification process has been a challenge on local, state, and national levels for the past few years.
Yeah, it still is a challenge. The Y here in Bangor has been great. They're offering a class this weekend that it's Space Force. So again, what a better way to spend the summer than by a pool and serving a need here in the community.
Lifeguarding is great for anyone looking for a summer job or even a second job, and you must be at least 15 years old to obtain that certification. Anyone interested in applying here in Bangor can visit the city's website.
Finally tonight, a 17-year-old George Stevens Academy graduate is a survivor who is now embarking on a new journey. Our Jody Hersey sat down with Olivia Larrabee to hear her experience in the Maine foster care system and how it's shaped her future.
It's good to show where my journey kind of began. Both of our parents were heroin addicts.
Olivia Larrabee is an overcomer. When she was just 7 years old, she was removed from this home and placed in Maine's foster care system.
They put my brothers into a separate car. They put me and Ava into a separate car. And my oldest brother was like, just take care of Ava.
Olivia lived with a foster family in Ellsworth before she and her sister Ava were adopted by the Larrabee family in Sedgwick.
She went into supervised visitation with one of her biological parents, and she walked in at 7 and checked their arm and saw track marks and left. And I knew at that moment that that was my daughter.
The Larrabees not only provided a home, they provided structure, safety, and love to both girls. So when 17-year-old Olivia was getting ready to graduate from George Stevens Academy, she told her mom she wanted some of her senior pictures taken outside of the home the Department of Human Services removed her from all those years ago.
It was a really powerful moment. What you don't see is her old toys were still in the yard. I mean, it was like a time capsule.
Larrabee has no doubts that her less than ideal upbringing shaped her into the person she is today.
I'm the first one of my siblings to graduate high school so far, and I'm going to go to college in the fall.
Larrabee is spending her summer working several jobs in order to pursue a degree in radiography at the Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. Her family has also created a GoFundMe account to help her accomplish her dream.
I think if I could tell my younger self anything, I would say there are brighter things ahead and to just hold on.
In Sedgwick, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
You know, not many people are faced with so much adversity at such a young age, and for her to come out on top like that just goes to show, you know, how strong she is, but also the support system around her.
Yeah.
And the importance of people in foster care and
Yeah.
people who are taking kids in, really caring.
I think her bravery and her spirit are on full display. I think it shows so much chutzpah that she went back to that place to take that senior picture. There are so many ways, so many layers to that moment.
Right.
And more than anything, we just wish her the best of luck and her siblings as well.
That we do.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to provide.
To wait around all the time.
Join the club.
Yeah, join the club where you can pick up prescriptions without a lot of waiting around.
And pie?
All the pie. Join the club. Sam's Club.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is...
I want you to take me to the future.
Hold on tight.
Let it rip.
Watch the summer's best with Hulu on Disney+.
Coming up
tonight after the game on ABC 7 News.
I'm Beth Jones. Crank the AC, the fans, and grab some water. The heat wave is here, and we will have your full up-to-date forecast, as well as some timely safety advice from Maine game wardens as folks jump in the water to stay cool. And as summer kicks off, local pools are gearing up for the season, but many are still looking for lifeguards. We'll have those stories and much more after the game.
Now, more than ever, all U.S. veterans need your help. If you have an old car, truck, or van, you can donate it today and help them. And they'll come pick it up for free. Plus, the money raised helps our nation's disabled veterans and their families. Call the number on your screen right now. Within a few days, we'll come and tow it away for free, running or not. And the proceeds greatly help U.S. veterans. So please call right now.